Okay, what's a teaspoon? Oh my god. I'm gonna cry. Hello! Today I'm going to be talking about my community college experience and advice. I'm officially committed to UCLA and I'm super excited, even though fall is going to be online and potentially this entire academic year. But I'm in the kitchen because I'm gonna make banana bread while I talk about this. I'm still not completely comfortable talking to a camera, to be very honest. I've always been the editor and I've always been behind the camera, so this feels pretty uncomfortable, but I feel like if I'm multitasking and it feels like I'm just telling a story to a friend, it's gonna feel much more comfortable and I can sort of offer more that way. So also, I've never made banana bread before, but my mom knows I can't cook anything and she thinks I can make banana bread, so maybe I can. So I'm gonna get the ingredients, but let's start with my senior year of high school. So I've always had pretty high expectations from my family to get into a relatively good school. However, I don't think that my parents are like the typical Asian parents. They're understanding and empathetic, and it's no big deal if I don't get into like Berkeley or UCLA. I have an older brother who is 4 years older than me, and he went to UC Davis for computer science. I'm trying to figure out where to put this. Because I had an older brother, he was sort of my guide, and because of that, all throughout high school I was super involved with everything. I talked more about this in my stats video, but I was involved with clubs, ASB, sports, and on a college application it would look like I was pretty dedicated to those things. But I did not enjoy any of those things, and because of that, my mental health throughout high school deteriorated quite a bit, and by senior year, I was so done. I just wanted to get out of there. There's a bug! You can do it, bud. Okay, I have to whisk flour, salt. Is that sugar? No, this is, oh, this is salt. I have a phone propped there so I can record what I'm doing here because I realize this angle's kind of whack. So at the time of application season in high school, I applied to almost all the UCs. How do you open this? Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay. I also did not know what I wanted to major in. So this was sort of a big deal for me because I am extremely passionate about the arts. I love digital design and I love film. I love editing videos. I like dancing. I like music. But none of those things are financially secure. How did I do that? It's okay. I'll clean it after. Obviously, you should do what you want. It's not just ever about financial security, but it is something that I personally... How much am I supposed to put? 3/4 cup? Is that 3/4? 3? Okay. As much as I love the arts, I didn't know if I was passionate enough about film to pursue a degree in it. And so what I did was I applied to the higher tier ranked UCs as a film major, and I applied to the lower ranked UCs with a computer science major because I've always used a computer and my brother is a computer science major, so I thought it was fitting. This is actually way harder than I thought to multitask. This is flour, right? I need, what's a teaspoon? Oh my god. Okay. I like how the only thing I've done is put flour in a bowl. I told myself that if I got into a prestigious film school like UCLA or USC, I would go to that film school. But if I didn't, then I would pursue computer science at a lower ranked UC, which is perfectly fine. That was just my plan. I think this one's a tablespoon and this one's a teaspoon, right? So, high school college decisions. I was accepted into 2 schools and I was waitlisted for another. 1/4 of baking soda? That's so difficult to measure. I was admitted as a computer science and engineering major for one of the schools. I was admitted as a film major for another, and I was waitlisted as a undeclared science major for the other. I wasn't too happy with the schools that I got into, and to me at that time, community college wasn't really a choice because it wasn't a thing that I had really heard about. I think I briefly thought about it, but my brother told me it was very difficult to transfer because of the experiences that he heard of his friends transferring. But what I didn't know was that his friends are trying to transfer into prestigious schools like UCLA and Berkeley, but I later found out that it's not difficult to transfer at all. It just depends on the school. Is this big enough? 2 bananas, 2 eggs, milk, and sugar. So over the summertime, I submitted my statement to intent to register to a college, the one that I got in as a CS major for. I even found roommates and I was getting pretty hyped up to go to this college. But the thing was, I had never visited this campus, and that was what I needed to realize that I didn't want to go to this school. The campus didn't feel like a college campus to me because of how small it was. Some people like that, some people like small college campuses, but I wanted to go to a big university. So I was in a dilemma because I had already submitted my statement of intent to register and I really didn't want to go to the school. I'm going to mash the bananas. So later that summer, maybe like a month into summer, I hung out with my friends, and I am the class of 2018 in terms of high school years. I was hanging out with my 2017 friends, so they're 1 year older than me. A few of them were going to a community college. I told them about my dilemma and they were like, why don't you just go to community college? Because you're gonna save money. And at the time I was also thinking about transferring from the school I got into to another UC campus. And they told me, just go to a community college because you're gonna save money and you don't have to spend time at a school that you don't like. And also it's just way easier to transfer from a community college. I thought about it, I talked about it with my parents, and I'm pretty lucky in that my parents trust me to make my own choices, and they were perfectly fine with me going to community and transferring, and so that's what I did. I took back my SIR and I registered for community college. By the time I registered for community college, it was already a few weeks before school was going to start. I wasn't able to get the classes that I wanted. Oh, also, the one thing that made me really decide to go to community college was when my friends told me that TAG was an option. So TAG is guaranteed admission into a school of your choice, at least in California. UC Davis, UC Irvine, Santa Cruz, Merced, and Riverside offer it. So I thought, if I'm gonna get guaranteed admission into Davis and Irvine, which are schools that I didn't get into out of high school, like might as well do it if it's not as difficult as I thought it was. So that summer, I did not get first pick of my classes, obviously, because I was signing up way later than other people, and I also wasn't able to hear about the programs and learning communities that I could join. So that's my first sort of tip, I guess. The summer before you go to your community college, look up learning communities and scholarships that you can apply to, because at my school there's a thing called Promise Scholars where if you register for it your first year, you get free community college tuition and textbooks, which I think is super cool. And even though I didn't have to pay a lot, community college is cheap. It still would have been nice to save like $1,000. I also was invited into the engineering scholars, like the learning community, but I didn't join because I didn't really know what it was and I didn't really have friends in that community to guide me. My 2017 friends, none of them were STEM majors. In that way, I was sort of alone because I had to figure out a lot of things by myself and like the classes I had to take. But because I was alone, I'm getting eggs. Because I was alone, I was much more motivated to figure things out. That summer, I did a lot of research on community college and specifically my community college. I was figuring out, oh god, okay, I need 2 large eggs. That summer, I made a plan for myself. I made a 2-year plan where I would be able to finish not just my required classes and IGETC, which is your general education in California, but also where I would be able to finish all of the recommended courses. I highly, highly recommend every single upcoming community college student to do the same, because making a schedule, I cannot emphasize how important making a plan is. Half a cup of sugar. Let me add the oil first, because that's easy. What I did was I used assist.org, which if you're a community college student, you probably already know about Assist. But if you're new, Assist is where you are able to check your required classes for your major and basically which schools require what classes and which schools recommend what classes. So I looked up all the UCs that I wanted to apply to, not even really want to apply to, but just potentially apply to. On a spreadsheet, I wrote down all of the classes that each school required and recommended, and I made a schedule to fit all of those courses. I did end up taking a lot of courses per semester, but it wasn't too difficult. That brings me to my next point, which is professors. The professor that you choose is extremely important in my opinion. Okay, I just need a half cup of sugar and then a 4th cup of milk. Sugar. Half cup. That's a lot of sugar. I don't really need half a cup. Do I need it? I don't know. I shouldn't. I should just follow the recipe. This bowl is way too small. Oh It's okay, I learned from my mistakes. And then I need milk. How is milk gonna fit in here? As I was saying, your professor is important because your professor can make a class either really enjoyable or really terrible, or it can make it really easy or really hard. And as a community college student, if you want to transfer into like your dream school, you're gonna need a good GPA. Obviously, it's best to get as close to a 4.0 as possible, but that's not always possible. But having a good professor can help with that. I used Rate My Professor to figure out what professors I wanted to take, but those reviews are pretty skewed. You're gonna get a gist of how the professor is, but you're not really gonna know how the professor is. It is useful. It's a good place to start. I actually got pretty lucky my first semester because I got relatively easy professors. I took like 6 classes and 4 of them were online, which was great because that was like a gap semester after high school, which I really needed. My friend texted me. I'll reply later, sorry. He watches my videos, I think. Hi if you're watching this. Okay, I have to add milk to this, but it's a lot. Can you see? Yep, okay. I was having a great time my first semester, but my initial goal for community college was to go to community college, get a 4.0, and dip as fast as possible and not make any friends. Don't do that. I ended up making a lot of friends. I joined the dance program. I involved myself with a club called Honors. If your community college has an honors program, I highly recommend completing the program. That's way too much milk. Is it? Maybe I'll just put most of it in. What am I gonna do with the rest though? Okay, I'll just keep it here for now. This is disgusting. No, I can do this. I need to have faith in myself. I'm gonna cry. What was I even talking about? I ended up using community college to explore the things that I liked, and joining the dance program was honestly a big step out of my comfort zone because if you watch my videos, you probably know me as a dancer, but I only started dancing like my senior year of high school. Most of the time, I just danced in my room. No one really knew I danced besides my close friends. So having to actually dance with other people was a completely different experience for me, and I was really scared because I didn't know how good these dancers would be. I didn't know how much experience they had. I didn't know if I was gonna suck, but luckily that class was a pretty large range of levels of dancers, so I felt really, really welcomed there. And that's also where I made some of my closest friends at community college. My first semester, I also started going to my Calc 1 tutoring sessions, and that is also where I made one of my closest friends to date. What do I do now? I have to fold the banana mixture into the flour mixture. Fold? Oh my god, you can tell I don't spend time in the kitchen. I didn't even mix this. I'll keep mixing this while I talk. At my community college, they have this system called SI leaders, and basically SI leaders are students that get paid to tutor a class. They're not during class time, but I wanted to make friends, and one of my 2017 friends told me to go to these SI sessions if I wanted to make friends, so that's what I did. So if you have them at your school, I do recommend going to them because I didn't really go with an intention to learn anything. I sort of went because I wanted to meet people, and I did. It also helped that the SI sessions took place in the general STEM community hangout place, and if you have one, I recommend just chilling there if you have time between your classes. At the beginning, I used to just chill alone, but it's much more fun when you're just sitting in a community of people, even if you're still alone. It feels a lot better, and in my personal experience, everyone's very, very welcoming, and they will talk to you, and you will make friends. I briefly talked about honors. I'm gonna get more into that now. The reason why I joined honors is because my older brother's friend was the honors president a few years ago, and he told me to join, but I didn't really know what it was. But I decided to go to the first meeting. I'm gonna combine this now. Ah! Oh my god, sorry. I thought it was gonna splatter. I hope I'm doing this right. I've been at this for way too long. The honors program is a program that community colleges have. Not all of them have it, but I think most of them do, in California at least. Doing honors was one of the best decisions that I made at community college in terms of just getting into college. If that makes any sense. It was one of the more beneficial things on my college application. The honors program allows you to have priority admission at UCLA if you complete the program, which to complete the program is some work. It's not a lot of work, but it's definitely worth the work if you complete the program because you do get priority at UCLA and you do get priority at UC Irvine, and you also get consideration for the Regents Scholarship, which is like $5,000 a year, which is great. I should have mashed the banana more. It's okay. Basically, what I had to do was each semester I completed a honors contract. So I had to do a project outside of a class of my choosing. I would basically have to meet with my professor and figure out a project that I could do outside of class that would count as honors credit. So for example, in my first coding class, I had to code a game of blackjack outside of the class, which isn't too difficult, but it was pretty difficult for the level of coding that I was at. The projects aren't that hard, but it also depends on your professor, because from what I noticed, some professors are super chill and they just let you do whatever you want, but some want very specific things, and that's also why I say professors are important, because just in my experience, they were important for honors. I actually didn't want to become an officer for honors, but they had a position open, which was the Commissioner of Media and PR, and like I said, I love art stuff, and when I was in high school, I served as like historian and I made a lot of videos for people, so I thought it was quite fitting that I could try being the Commissioner of Media. I ended up getting the position and I served as an officer for that first year, and the second year I ended up becoming president, which I was not really planning to do at first, but I quickly realized over my first year that it's not too difficult to get into UC Davis and UC Irvine if you keep up your GPA, because of the fact that there's a literal contract. But if I worked a little bit harder, I could get into UCLA. Running for president was a huge step out of my comfort zone because I've never felt confident enough to run for a position like president. When I was in high school, I always ran for things like VP and things that I was good at, like media and PR, but running for president was a big step for me, even though like I know some people can do that really easily. I ended up becoming president, and I had the honor of serving as president at the honors club at my community college. Is this mixed enough? One thing I wanted to add that's sort of random is don't be afraid to ask for a grade boost, but be realistic about it. If you have a C, obviously don't ask for an A, but if you're borderline and you have the reasons why you think you deserve a better grade, then it doesn't hurt. How I think about it is that community college professors are still human, and most of the time they will empathize and they will be understanding. Don't be afraid. The worst they can do is say no. In year 2, I decided that I wanted an associate's degree because when I applied to UCLA, I applied as a math of computation major, which I also explained that in my stats video, but I knew that I wanted to work in programming, and if I just had a bachelor's degree in math of computation, not everyone would know what that meant. People wouldn't realize that computation is programming. I realized that I only needed one more class to get an associate's degree, so that's what I did, and I ended up getting 3 associate's degrees. I got one in CS, math, and physics, which is kind of great because I can put associates of CS on my resume and put bachelor's of math of computation, which I think people would be able to figure that out reading my resume. That was my reasoning for getting an associate's, but I hear it's not always beneficial for a STEM major, but do your own research because I'm not too sure about that. Is this what banana bread batter is supposed to look like? This looks way too watery. Oh, there's still flour here. Okay, I'm gonna keep mixing. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about my transfer application, which I went into depth. I still don't know how to say that word. I went into depth in my stats video. I walked through my entire application, so if you're actually interested in that, I'll link it in the cards. I don't know which corner. As for how it actually worked, it was relatively easy. The tag thing, the guaranteed admission, I tagged to UC Davis and the process was really easy. I just had to fill out an application. As for TAP, which is priority admission through honors for UCLA and Irvine, that was easy too. I just had to fill out a form with a counselor and she did it for me. So very easy. As for the actual UC application, it's the exact same thing as when you apply in high school, except instead of 4 questions to choose from, you have 3 questions to choose and 1 mandatory question. Figure out if you like online classes or not. Obviously now you're sort of required to take online classes, but when I had the choice, I learned that I really enjoy online classes for general education classes because I found them way easier and I can do them on my own time, so I would have more time on campus at school to study for classes and like hang out with friends. And at home, I can just do the online classes. That's something I would figure out, obviously, when this pandemic is over. I feel like this video is all over the place. I should have planned this out more, I'm sorry. Also, I'm gonna air fry this. So in terms of whether or not I believe community college was worth it, you can probably tell that I believe it's extremely worth it. My reasons for transferring at first wasn't just because I didn't get into the schools of my choosing, but because I felt like I went through so much in high school that it wouldn't be worth it for me to attend a college that I didn't really want to go to. I wanted to be really excited about the college I was going to and proud of the college that I was going to, and I just didn't feel that way at first. I know that community college can be it's not something you're proud of saying, and I'm sure a lot of people can admit that, but it's gonna be so worth it. Don't feel bad about going to community college. Oh wait, this fits perfectly. Ooh. Okay, it smells really good, but... Yo. Did I do that? What? Maybe I'll just poke it here. Is that cooked? I think it's cooked. Oh, okay. Gonna leave it here to cool. Okay, I have my banana bread. Looks pretty cool. I've never cooked anything in my life, so I'm pretty proud. So before I try this, I did have some more things that I wanted to say. It's not a lot though. I wanted to mention that community college is not easy. If you're going to community college thinking that you're gonna get into UC Berkeley or UCLA or these prestigious schools, it's not that easy. There's a belief that community college courses are easier than four-year university courses, which might be the case only because of how much more lenient and understanding the professors are here. But ultimately, you're still learning the same subject, and it's going to be equally as hard, especially if you're a STEM student. So do not underestimate community college. You're still going to have to work very hard if you want to get into the school of your choice. Overall, in my personal experience though, community college has definitely been the happiest 2 years of my life because of the balance. It was really nice to be able to balance things that I liked, like dance and honors, with studying and not having to wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I feel like I was not ready to go to a four-year university right out of high school, and going to community college definitely, I think, has prepared me well for that. I learned a lot of things at community. There's the small things like learning how to ride a bike and getting my ears pierced, and there's also the big things like, because I was still here, I could take my time with getting my driver's license, and I also made some of my closest friends to date. I definitely became much more confident in myself, and I feel like things like dance and honors really helped with that. I feel like I care way less about what other people think of me now. I've learned not to take myself so seriously. I had this conversation with the honors officers about how if we had known we were going to go to community college, we wouldn't have tried so hard in high school. But the thing is, you never know. We came to a conclusion that you can't really say that, because if you didn't work hard in high school and you go to community college, wouldn't you also be thinking the same thing? I should have worked harder so that I didn't have to go to community college. But you just never know how things are going to turn out. And because I worked hard in high school and because I made a lot of mistakes in high school, I knew exactly what I had to do by the time community college came around. And I feel like it was the perfect route for me. Just because you say that you want to transfer in 2 years, it's not always the case. For some majors, it's really difficult because you have to take a lot of courses, and sometimes you don't do well in a class and you need to retake classes. So make sure to plan accordingly. Don't underestimate how much work you have to do. Put yourself out there and explore what you like to do. Okay, time to try the banana bread. I think I did pretty well. I need to cut this though, so I'm so proud of myself. Okay, I'm gonna cut this. What if it tastes terrible? That's definitely a possibility. Oh, I don't think it's cooked. It's just because I left a lot of banana chunks. Should I cook it for longer just in case? No, I think it's good. The top is so crispy. This is how much I ate. Yay! Okay, I think I got to say everything I wanted to say, so I'm trying to think of other things that I would mention, but I think I've said everything. So thank you for watching all the way until the end and watching me make banana bread. This is a milestone in my life. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions because I'd love to answer them. So bye bye!